Poppy K and her bookish thoughts, adventures with ogres and astronauts. Poppy K and her bookish thoughts. Poppy K, subscribe, like, comment and share. Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a reading vlog, and the book that I am going to be reading is The Twisted Ones by Kingfisher. So I'm going to just let you know I am about 80 pages in. The book is 400 pages long, and I am telling you, this book, I'm really intrigued. If I could sit and read it in one, I think I would. Clever, gruesome, funny, and downright terrifying. So the synopsis. When Mouse's dad asks her to clean her dead grandmother's house, she says, yeah. After all, how bad can it be? Answer. Pretty bad. Grandma was a hoarder, and her house is stuffed with useless rubbish. That would be horrific enough. But there's more. Mouse stumbles across her step-grandfather's journal, which at first seems to be filled with nonsensical rants, until Mouse encounters some of the terrifying things he has described for herself. Alone in the woods with her dog, Moose finds herself face to face with a series of impossible terrors, because sometimes the things that go bump in the night are real, and they're looking for you. And if she doesn't face them head on, she might not survive to tell the tale. So because it's coming up to Halloween, I thought I might as well read something a little bit spooky, and that's what we're going to read. So far, she has obviously gone to said grandmother's house. Obviously she's died, and I have been annotating. I don't know if you can see that in this light. Nope, not in focus. Anyway, I have been annotating, and it is actually quite amusing, some of the things that she says. Where's that thing about? Basically, as it said in the synopsis, she is a hoarder, this granny, and she collects all sorts of things, mainly newspapers, but we don't know what that's for just yet. However, there was a bit in here and I was like, no way. Here we go. And it says, she'd had those awful china dolls with the painted eyes, which were bad enough. But she really liked the newborn dolls, the ones all made up to look like realistic babies. Except that when something's that realistic, it just looks dead, and I've put hell no. Now, it reminds me of my mother-in-law. She doesn't like those type of dolls, but the china dolls. Once I remember going to a house and with my husband, and we were going to stay, and in the spare room she had these dolls. I made them go in and take them all out. I was like, I am not sleeping in that room with all of those dolls. So yeah, I made them take all the dolls out, which was quite funny. And then there's like little bits with the dog. Basically she says, this is just like what Bodhi used to be like. Unfortunately, there was one bare patch of linoleum, so I was stepping over him every time I turned round. And then she says, you're not helping. And that's just exactly what Bodhi did. She used to just lie anywhere. So, yeah, so she's basically just cleaning out the house, and then she has kind of met some of the local people who lived around there. So we're just kind of getting into that. I'm on chapter 5. I will carry on reading. I'll let you know my thoughts. But yeah, so she's just literally cleaning the house out at the moment. But the vibes I'm getting, you can just, it's slowly getting up there, and you're like, what is out in the woods? What is that? You know, and what is this book? There's a book that her step-grandfather is looking for. She's been reading his journal, and this is what she's like, well, you know what, let's just get rid of all the stuff. And then she's like, well, I'm quite intrigued to know what this book is. He's been saying that they want to look for this particular book, so we will see. Excuse me, what happens. I need to go to bed in a minute anyway, because I've got work in the morning and I'm going to get up early and go to the gym anyway. So, but yeah, really enjoying it so far. Well, hello. Right, I've got on a little bit further with this book, and the twisted ones, this one, I am on page 179, so I'm nearly halfway through, and Mouse has seen something looking in the window. Well, she goes for a walk in the woods first with her dog, and they come upon what she thinks is a deer that's been sliced down the middle, and she's like, what on earth is that? So obviously she's looking at that, and then she runs into town, and you know, she gets all upset and everything. The dog's with her, and then she ends up having coffee, oh, excuse me, in the coffee shop. And there's like this goth barista who works in there, and she was like asking her what was wrong. And she tells her about this thing that was hanging in the woods. And then they get the police and all that lot. They go back, and guess what? It's not there. And then in the evening, she sees this thing looking through the window. I mean, firstly, I'd shit my pants and I'd just be out there anyway. But so the next day, they're about to leave. Oh, I'm so sorry. Next day, they're about to leave. She falls down the stairs, and the dog goes missing. Now she's like, well, I've got to stay here because the dog's missing. She doesn't even go to look for this dog. She phones up the pounds and stuff like that just to let them know that her dog is missing. And then she carries on cleaning out her grandmother's house of stuff. I'm like, how can you even concentrate? I'm sorry, but I would be traipsing over everywhere trying to find my dog, you know? Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Right, I'm not being funny, but they're still waiting for these things to come out of the woods. But they haven't found the dog yet. I'm afraid if that was me, I would be like in tears, beside myself, trying to find this dog, and they're just not. I just hope the dog's alright, because if it isn't, I'm going to be really, really upset. Well, what do I actually think of this? I really enjoyed it. I'm going to tell you now, the dog doesn't die. I'm so pleased. I would have been, just don't. The Twisted Ones by Kingfisher. I annotated it as well. I don't know if you can see. I annotated it. Come on, focus. A little bit. A very, very amusing book, I would say. It's something, if you don't want to read horror and be scared out of your wits, but you still want a bit of horror, maybe a little bit of spooky spooks, this is the one for you. Now, I think this is probably going to be a bit controversial. This is the book that Fairy Tales by Stephen King wanted to be. I'm just saying. And it's half of the size. In fact, it's probably a third of the size. This was sarcastic, funny, amusing, quippy, if that's even a word, with a little dusting of paranormal activity, magic, horror, monsters, that kind of thing. So if you're looking for something to read over the Halloween period and you're not really a big, I mean, I'm not really a big horror fan, this is definitely for you. We follow Mouse, as I have told you. She has been asked by her dad, look, can you go up to your grandma's house? I mean, her dad's not very well. He's got heart problems and lung problems and stuff like that. He can't do it. He said, can you go up to grandma's and clear it out for me? I just cannot get up there to do it. So she's like, yeah, fine, no problem. I will go up there and I will sort it all out for you. Don't you worry about it. She's probably thinking, yeah, I'll just pop up at the weekend. It'll be fine. I'll be back. She's in North Carolina. Takes her dog Bongo. I mean, I want a dog called Bongo. So she takes Bongo, up she goes, and she goes to the house and she thinks, well, how bad can it be? My goodness me, it's bad. It's bad. She walks in and basically her grandma was a hoarder. So she's like, oh dear God, what have I let myself in for? So the weekend has come and gone and she's hardly made a dent in all of this stuff. I mean, isn't this just the way that these sort of stories start? They go to the dead whoever's house to try and clean it out. She makes friends with the people across the street. They live in a little bit like a, what I could only describe as like a hippie commune. Her grandmother hated them, but she got on really well with them. She befriends a 60-year-old woman. Her name is Foxy. She also befriends a barista in the local town coffee shop. Now, I did actually think that Mouse and herself were going to end up having a relationship. Sadly, they didn't. I would like to have seen that. Anyway, so she's cleaning up this house. She comes upon a manuscript that her step-grandfather has written. And she's reading this manuscript. She's a proofreader or that type of thing. That's what she does for a living. And she's reading this manuscript and thinking, God, there's some weird stuff in here. And she's like, oh, well, you know, whatever. It is what it is. And then things start to go a little bit weird. She sort of starts to investigate the things that she's reading in this manuscript, looking for a green book as well. This manuscript keeps referring to a green book. So she's like, right, maybe I want to find this green book. Her dad's like, look, don't worry about it. If it's really that bad, just don't worry about it. We'll just get somebody in to do it. We'll just abandon the whole project. She's like, no, I can do it. It's fine. You know, because obviously she's intrigued and she wants to find out what this book is about. Her and Bongo go for a walk and they happen upon these rocks, go into a wood, and then these weird creatures start coming out. At one point she loses the dog, which sent my anxiety straight through the roof, because I thought, if that dog, I was like, if I think that the dog is not going to be there anymore, I can't finish the book. But obviously because I finished the book. He was. So that was that. And then the dog comes back, and it's basically a bit like, I want to say a bit like Outlander, a bit like The Fairy Tale by Stephen King. You go into another world sort of thing, and there's these horrific mangled things that she calls effigies and stuff like that, and they're just made out of like a whole hodgepodge of everything. This then, at the end of the book, made me think, my God, I need to go through all of my stuff and get rid of everything that I don't use anymore, because I do not want to be known as a hoarder, and I do not want this to happen to me. But having said that, I would definitely recommend. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. A great read for Halloween or just in the colder months. Some of the acknowledgements on the back I would definitely agree with. It says clever, gruesome, funny and downright terrifying. Definitely a recommend. I think it was brought out in 2020? Yeah, March 2022. March 2020, sorry. So that is The Twisted Ones. A great book. And the next book I'm going to read on my next reading vlog, Asylum by Madeleine Roux. So that is what I'm going to be reading next. I want to get through some sort of horror-y type books before Halloween gets here, and I've got this one to read. This one looks a little bit like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, because there's all like photographs and stuff. I don't know if you can see, there's like loads of pictures and stuff. So yep, that's that. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. And let me know down in the description box below, not description box, comments. It's called a comments. What books you're reading, and if you've made it this far, leave me a dog emoji. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Bye!